Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And while I'm sharing my screen, I want to encourage you to uh, click the thumbs up, click the subscribe button, and click the alert button. And then if you know of anybody who can benefit this top 10 list of top 10 things to consider before starting a business in 2021, share the video with them. Sometimes it's easier to hear it from a neutral person like myself who doesn't have any skin in the game in terms of the relationship, but it's some things that you think that they might benefit from hearing. We're going to jump in and do a recap. We're covering number 6 and number 5, but I'm going to go ahead and cover real quickly the points that were covered in the first two videos, and you can go ahead and click the playlist and catch up on those if you want. Gave you a bonus tip here. Is this a hobby or a passion? Sometimes starting a business that's a hobby or passion will kill that passion when it becomes work and a job and something that you're dependent on. So again, covered that prior to in the first video. Number 10, is your business solving a major problem? Think about what the competition is in terms of the vertical that you're going into or what you're trying to start up. Maybe there's opportunity with the current situation that we're in, and maybe there's some opportunity and benefit for you to hold off while the competition shakes out a little bit more. I know in the real estate bubble burst back in 07, 08, and even back in the tech bubble back in the day, a lot of real estate folks discovered that if they just hung on and kept the lights on, a lot of their competitors that were just kind of scraping by fell to the wayside, and they ended up actually growing in this. So maybe there's some opportunity, but maybe not. So consider that. And then the bigger question is your business solving a major problem in our current environment, and will it long term? Number 9, is your boo fully on board? Is your husband, your wife, your partner, your spouse, are they fully on board? And again, I covered these topics. I'm not going to dig into this, but this is very, very critical and crucial, something you need to consider. And I covered those points in that first video as well. So it won't beat a dead horse here on that one. Number 8, are you personally cash flow positive for the long term? It's great that you can have a pro forma that has you covered for this first couple of months if your pro forma is realistic, and I cover that as well in detail in terms of what you need to consider. But again, make sure that you do your due diligence, and when you're putting together a pro forma, that you are actually putting together one that's realistic and for the worst case scenario. Number 7, current lockdown. Do you know and have a good sense of can you operate in this? And once it ends, what's that going to do to your business? Can you operate in this? Doesn't make sense to do it right now because there's still so many unknowns that we don't know about. So just something else to consider when you're getting ready to start. And then we're going to jump into number 6 and number 5. Will you need Red Bulls or 5-hour energies to sustain? So some people operate on a different level. So those people that have just a different energy level. But again, for you to start and run a business, you not only have to have enough energy for yourself, which is a daunting task, and you're going to work harder than you ever have if you're fully going into this to start a business, if you're doing it right. But do you have the energy to sustain not only for yourself, but for your staff, for your spouse, for your family? I mean, there's a lot that's involved. And the reason I'm asking this, right? It's not only just the financial, investment that you're making, but an energy investment, right? You're going to have to still maintain your personal and family life if you have one, or maybe you're young and you do have that and you can pour yourself in, and that's great. But for those of us who are a little bit long in the tooth and a little gray in the beard here, you have to consider this when starting a new venture in a startup, right? And having gone through that exercise a couple of times myself, I know what it takes, and it requires a lot. And so are you going to be able to fully commit to giving to the business what it takes without sacrificing your family and your personal commitments? Something you've got to look in the mirror and have that conversation with. And then are you willing to put in more hours than what you do with your current job? If you've never done a startup before, it's not a job. Doing a startup and starting a business is not a job like you're, punching the clock right now, right? You are going to be working harder than you ever have in your life. I guarantee you, if you want this thing to succeed, and it is draining. So you got to make sure that you're willing to put in more hours than you're currently, putting in your current job. And then secondly, do you have the hours in the day to actually do that with your personal commitments? And again, I kind of covered that already. So we're going to jump down to number 5. And again, mirror conversation here. Are you just trying to escape, right? Are you just trying to replace the current job you're in and you think that maybe starting a business is the way you want to go? A lot of times, two things I've seen in the workplace and in starting a business, people will say, well, I'm good at XYZ. I should start my own business. And that's not necessarily the case. Or a lot of times people will get promoted in a job because, leadership will say that person is good at X, Y, and Z, but they're not necessarily cut out to be in a leadership role, right? They're a good, skilled subject matter expert in that particular field and vertical, but they're not cut out for leadership, nor do they really want to do it. And a lot of times it could be a big mistake. And so if you're not having that conversation in the workplace, that's a separate conversation, but it also is appropriate for when you promote people within your startup and business as well, right? Somebody who's competent in what they're doing doesn't mean that they should be promoted. But for you, are you competent enough to actually start and run a business? Because it's not just doing your particular skill set that you need to do when you start a business. You now have to be accountable for accounting, for the books, for billing, for sales, for hiring, for managing people, for vendor relationships, scheduling, everything that's involved. It all falls on you if it's your business. And I'm going to tell you, the people that work for you, it's not their business. It's your business. For them, they have a job, and you need to understand that their passion and commitment is not necessarily going to be the same level that you will have or that you think that they should have. Otherwise, they'd probably be doing their own business. So you got to temper your expectations in terms of what that looks like for your employees that are working in your business, and you've got to make sure that you have that commitment as well. So, and are you really desiring to start a business? Or are you really just looking to change your job? Maybe your work situation is toxic or you don't really enjoy your job. Replacing a job with starting a business is something that you don't want to do if you're not fully committed and pot committed to doing this, because it's not the same thing. And I've covered that in the prior videos as well. So I'm not going to kill you with, rehashing those. But trust me, it is not the same thing, and it's way more commitment and way more at risk in terms of income and job security and things like that as well. So, all right. And then how many prior business ideas have you tried regardless of the scale? Have you ever tried anything? Even a small, side hustle. Maybe that's something you can do while you currently have your job, that you can do something on the side to kind of get it up and going. Maybe you just need a contract or a small contract. If that's you're starting a business that, it's a services business, and you can do that and maybe, do it a couple hours in the evening or on the weekends. And that'll give you a taste for what that looks like, right? In terms of having to drum up the sale to get that first contract. I don't know what that looks like, but maybe start out on a smaller scale before you leave your current situation, and make sure you're just not trying to escape. So again, feel free to share these. I'm going to go these videos and with somebody who's not necessarily, if you're not necessarily starting a business or thinking about it, and you know somebody who is, and maybe they'd receive it a little bit differently from somebody like me, give me a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, hit the alert button, and we will talk to you at the next video.